Welcome, WrestleRanters, to the monumental 30th edition of WrestleRant. Here today, I'm your host, Bleacher Report featured Columnist Level 2. Graham GSM Matthews here today to review last night's Raw, to give my predictions for the Royal Rumble this Sunday, talk about a little bit about my radio show spoilers, and much more, as well as answer some fan questions I was asked over Twitter over the weekend, which I'm really excited to be answering here for you tonight. So let's get right down to it, discussing this week's Monday Night Raw. Well, let's just say that this week was just as entertaining as last week. I mean, they weren't successful in the aspect that they successfully hyped the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, because I know they missed a lot of hype, and they missed a lot of potential to be hyping the Royal Rumble match itself in the main event. They had a lot of missed opportunities right there to hype that match up. It had a lot more potential than it should have been, but they were able to hype up the WWE Championship match between CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler. They had Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger beat Punk and Cena in the beginning of the night, when Dolph Ziggler pinned CM Punk via Dirty Tactics. I'm really excited for this. Dolph Ziggler needs this momentum going into the Royal Rumble, I should say. He's got a lot of momentum over the last couple of weeks. Of course, I know that Dolph Ziggler is not going to walk out as WWE Champion, as much as I would like him to, one night down the road, have him become WWE Champion. The Royal Rumble is just not his night. I know he's going to have an awesome showing, but you know what? I'll get to that later as far as my Royal Rumble predictions. Tongue twister. So, yeah, that was also very well done. Dolph Ziggler managed to get some heat back on his character last night after attacking CM Punk after the main event. And what seemed to be like the huge focus of the show was CM Punk and John Laurinaitis. Now that looks to be the huge rivalry going on Monday Night Raw, the main focus on what is to believe one of the biggest storylines in WWE today. I mean, I don't believe it's next Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mr. McMahon rivalry by any means. But I mean, WWE is promoting it that way, and the way CM Punk delivered the GTS to Laurinaitis at the end of the show gives me hope that this feud is finally over. But I would have rather waited to see this, the payoff for this feud happen at either Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, not just on surprise on Raw, not just a random GTS. Because I would like to see CM Punk versus John Laurinaitis some night down the road, as long as it's advertised. So as far as that goes, that was also very well done last night. They also announced Mick Foley for the Royal Rumble match, so I'm also really excited about that. So another match of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view that I'm really looking forward to, John Cena versus Kane. So that was progressed last night with Kane taking on Zack Ryder in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And that ended in a no contest because Kane beat the living shit out of Zack Ryder for nearly 20 minutes, and then after he chokeslammed him through the stage, Zack Ryder was stretched out of the arena for about 10 minutes, I believe. They came back from commercial and they were still stretching him out of the arena. So, I mean, I think they dragged that on a little bit too more longer than it should have. Not more longer, I'm sorry, I'm just out of it today. They dragged that on a lot longer than it should have been. Zack Ryder versus Kane, it was decent. I gained some sympathy for Zack Ryder's character, but just dragging that segment along just did no favors for Zack Ryder whatsoever. But it did establish Kane as a monster heel going into his match with John Cena at the Royal Rumble, so I was happy about that. Just keep him away from the mic, and Kane could be golden. Now, the poopy face, I should say, in PG terms, that John Cena made after Zack Ryder was out of the building in the ambulance was rather hilarious. I was watching it with a few people, and they were laughing just as much as I was when they saw John Cena make that serious face. So I'm not too sure if this is foreshadowing a heel turn. I mean, we've been seeing that for the past couple of weeks. And of course, we know it's just not going to come to fruition, because John Cena cannot be a heel going into WrestleMania 28, because we know he's going to be turning face right afterwards. So it's not going to work. I mean, I'm not fooled by it by any means, but at least he's showing somewhat of a serious side. So also another main highlight of last night's show was Chris Jericho, and not to rhyme there, but Chris Jericho was the main highlight of the show last night, especially for me, when he had the return of the highlight reel in over 4 years on Monday Night Raw, when he spoke his first words after pandering to the crowd for a few minutes. He said, "This Sunday, it will be the end of the world as you know it." Now, this was perfectly booked. I loved everything about this segment. Jericho has been doing the best work in a very long time in the past couple of weeks, so I'm really excited to see him in the Royal Rumble match. The Royal Rumble match this Sunday. He has been announced for the bout, so I'm really looking forward to that. There's going to be a lot of speculation going around that Jericho will win the match, although I wouldn't mind it. I'll get to my prediction later on who I think is going to win the Royal Rumble, but as far as Chris Jericho goes, I hope he explains the vignettes that he's been having over the last couple of weeks since he returned next week live on Raw, so that should definitely be intriguing. So I love everything about Chris Jericho last night on Raw. And we also had a few throwaway matches between, Sheamus and Jinder Mahal. That's a never-ending feud on Monday nights and Friday nights. It should just end them as a complete waste of time. Did not accomplish anything last night on Raw. Sheamus has grown extremely stale over the last 6 months since he turned face, so that didn't really serve any purpose besides Wade Barrett on commentary. And speaking of commentary, William Regal versus Brodus Clay was by far my mark-out moment of the night. William Regal has not appeared on Raw in a solid role such as this in years. So I was really, really excited to see William Regal on Raw commentating the Brodus Clay squash, I should say, against Heath Slater. Now, William Regal was absolutely hilarious with his humor as well as calling on the moves, so I really hope they put him on the SmackDown announce team replacing Booker T or something along those lines, so I see more of William Regal on my television as time goes forward, as well as the progression of the feud between him and Brodus Clay. Speaking of feuds, the feud between R-Truth and Miz should hopefully be over by this point after their match last night on Raw, where the loser would be declared the #1 participant in the Royal Rumble match, coming in at #1, which is a huge disadvantage in the Royal Rumble. Now, the match itself was extremely boring. I just do not like this feud. It's a major rehash of their feud back in 2010 over the United States Championship. So I just do not like this feud whatsoever. The Miz just needs to get shipped over to SmackDown, just get it over with. He needs a fresh start. And R-Truth, he's fine as long as he just continues the comedy. I used to love his edge that he used to have, but whatever. I digress. And I think that about does it for last night's Monday Night Raw. So overall, I think that was a very entertaining episode of Monday Night Raw. Once again, the hype for the Royal Rumble match and pay-per-view as an overall show should have been a lot better than it was. But I can't complain. The action was there last night. A lot of the segments were solid, and they did provide somewhat of hype for the show this Sunday. So I am really looking forward to the Royal Rumble, and I will get to my predictions in one more minute. But two questions that I was asked over Twitter over the weekend. Now, I am starting to have people ask me questions. If you want to ask me a question, pro wrestling related, WWE, TNA, anything, just tweet me at @save_us_GSM, and I would love to answer your question here live on WrestleRant. Not live, but you know what I mean. I'd love to answer all your questions, and I was asked two questions over the weekend by two gracious people. One was from @DevinTurner_, so go follow him. His question was, what is your favorite Royal Rumble moment? Now, bear in mind that I've only been a wrestling fan since 2008, April 2008 to be exact. So I have not had the privilege to live through a lot of the moments that a lot of people have had the ability to live through, like Stone Cold Steve Austin winning 3 times, Kane eliminating 11 people in 2001, Shawn Michaels winning it back-to-back. All those moments were perfect, but since I've been a wrestling fan, my favorite Royal Rumble moment was personally when Edge returned in 2010. That's a very underrated moment in my opinion. Everyone knew he was coming back. But in my personal opinion, I thought that it was an excellent return. I was marking out that night when I purchased that pay-per-view. That was the first pay-per-view that I ever purchased, so I was really lucky to see that come to fruition with Edge coming back and winning the Royal Rumble that year. So that was definitely my favorite Royal Rumble moment by far. As well as the returns of Kevin Nash and Booker T last year. Those were definitely up there on the list for my favorite Rumble moments. And another question I was asked was at StarNinja99, so go follow them. Their question was, who, in your opinion, are the top 5 superstars in the business today, or in WWE today? That is an extremely hard question to answer. Now, if I'm going to go with my picks, my favorite in the company, I would definitely say someone like CM Punk is on the list regardless. Wade Barrett is definitely up there as one of the best in the company today. Randy Orton is doing the best work of his career. Dolph Ziggler, same thing with him. I wouldn't go with the Miz or R-Truth. They're definitely not on the hot streak at the moment. Sheamus is definitely up there too as one of the best in WWE today as well. Zack Ryder's getting there. Kane's getting there. John Cena's definitely cooled down in recent months, so I don't think he's on the top 5 best. So that could be classified in a lot of ways as to who is getting the most momentum, who is the best wrestler, who is the best entertainer. There's a lot of different things that question can be classified as. So that's as simple as I can answer it. So now on to my Royal Rumble predictions. The World Heavyweight Championship match. World Champion Daniel Bryan defends against Big Show and Mark Henry in a triple threat match inside the steel cage. Now I see Daniel Bryan coming out of this as World Champion. I have no need to see Big Show as World Champion. I do not want to see him as champion in TLC, and I don't want to see him as champion at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Mark Henry would be a pleasant surprise, but I mean, I think his time has come and gone. I don't think he's going to be winning the World Heavyweight Championship anymore or any longer. So I definitely see Daniel Bryan coming out of this. And since he is a chicken shit heel at the moment, I definitely see him winning by escaping the cage somehow or some way, given his small stature. Now, for the WWE Championship, CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler with John Laurinaitis as a special guest referee. CM Punk's definitely retaining all the way. CM Punk has had the best work of his career in recent months. There's no reason to take the belt off him at this point. Dolph Ziggler will be world champion at one point, just not tonight, not at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, just somewhere down the line. And I just personally believe, this is my personal opinion, that this match is completely focused around CM Punk and John Laurinaitis rather than Punk and Ziggler. I mean, Punk and Ziggler are going to have an amazing match regardless, but I just fear that Laurinaitis will take away from the match somewhat. So I hope that he doesn't, and he just calls it down the middle, which I know he won't anyway. So, yes, and for John Cena versus Kane, I'm going to have to go with John Cena. Kane's been on a massive roll as of late, with John Cena recently embracing the hate. I do not see him losing on Sunday, so to speak. So, for the Royal Rumble match, there is a lot of different picks. Yesterday, I wrote an article on Wade Barrett to win the Royal Rumble, so I'm going to go with him. I'm going to have to go with Wade Barrett. My second choice would have to be Chris Jericho challenging CM Punk at WrestleMania. And Randy Orton is another top favorite, seeing that he is from St. Louis. So other guys include maybe CM Punk, entering the Rumble since anyone's eligible. I would love to see him win as WWE Champion. That'd be amazing. Ziggler's another underdog. Kane's most deserving. Sheamus is on a roll as of late. So there's a lot of different guys that can enter the Royal Rumble and possibly win it. So but I'm definitely going to go with my pick of Wade Barrett. I definitely see him going into WrestleMania as the challenger against Daniel Bryan or Randy Orton as for the World Heavyweight Championship, or combined, we'll have to see. So that about does it for today's episode. But also make sure to check out my recent Spoilers podcast with Ben Gartland. We recently interviewed Northeast Wrestling superstar Matt Taven, former NEW champion, so go check that out. As well as my recent appearance, I just got off the Ring Rust radio show hosted by Donald Wood and friends, so go check that out. That is also on my Twitter profile, at @save_us_GSM, so do not forget to follow. I welcome all wrestling tweets and whatnot. I love talking wrestling with all you guys, so I really appreciate it. You can check me out on Bleacher Report at GrahamGSM Matthews. You guys can visit my website at nextwrestling.weebly.com for all the WWE, TNA rumors, recaps, and more. And that about does it. So to go check out, as I just said, to go check out my Spoilers podcast at blogtalkradio.com/spoilerspodcast and the Ring Rust Radio at blogtalkradio.com/ringrustradio. So I highly suggest checking both those out for the recent best podcasts that you'll ever find on the web. So that about does it today for me. I hope you guys enjoy the Royal Rumble as much as I do. It looks like it's going to be an exciting pay-per-view. Hopefully you guys enjoy and have an awesome week. And until then, this is GSM signing out, guys.